Welcome to another episode of Bourbon and Data Breaches, where we cover 5 of the most interesting data breaches from this last week. And one of our favorite bourbons. I'm Steve.
Michael.
Divya.
You.
Keegan.
So introducing Keegan this episode. Keegan is new to Hack Notice. Everyone, welcome Keegan.
Hi, Keegan.
Hi, Keegan.
Hello, everyone.
Well, Divya, what do you have for us this week?
All right. So today we have a story from Accenture where Accenture confirms hack after LockBit ransomware data leak threats. Accenture, a global IT consultancy, which is pretty big, has allegedly been hit by a ransomware cyber attack from the LockBit ransomware gang. What do you guys have to say about that?
So LockBit has been making a name for themselves. They showed up out of nowhere. Like, I guess they've been around for a while, but they just started posting an insane number.
They're on an absolute tear.
Yeah, we see maybe 7 to 10 new LockBit disclosures a day. Also, LockBit, if you're watching, fuck you, because your website is shit. And half the time I have to go into your disclosure site to figure out which company you're talking about. Like, get it together. Come on. Like, you're breaking into hundreds of companies, but you can't even display a URL that's longer than like 40 characters.
Websites are all done with frameworks these days. This is really easy. LockBit, just use one of the many frameworks out there. It's not hard.
Their sheer volume makes me think that they must be doing the same franchise play that we've seen other ransomware groups.
They could be doing a franchise. I mean, my suspicion, if it's a group that just shows up out of nowhere and is on a tear, is that it's just a rebrand of another group. So there have been like a dozen ransomware groups that have come and gone, and they're like archived. Like we have what they have posted, but they just don't post anymore. Like, for example, Grief used to be Doppel, and Dark Matter used to be Re-Evil. LockBit, I don't know who they used to be, but clearly it was someone with some clout or some skills. I don't know, didn't Conti get popped right about the same time that LockBit showed up?
I mean, you never see the two of them in the same place at the same time.
If you rearrange the letters, of LockBit,
And add
it says
Add some more.
Interesting.
Yeah, Conti is actually the subject. Yeah, we're going to talk about Conti later, so that's actually it's not entirely impossible that your theory is true.
No, but like you remember a few episodes ago, the South Korean police arrested some gang, but I doubt they got them all. So it very well could be an offshoot of another gang. So one, like, watch out for LockBit, and then two, LockBit, like, invest a little in your website. It's just going to make your life so much easier, and mine, which I appreciate.
Please, yes, thank you. Just something to add to this. This is like, that article said it was like 2,500 computers in Accenture that was affected. I think that's like, might be all or most of their computers in Accenture. So this is a lot. They're a consultancy group. They go on site to other companies. Who knows where this is going to spread? So I definitely don't think.
Yeah, they are huge.
Accenture's huge. 2,500, one of their
way.
offices,
Yeah.
and not even their head office.
Accenture's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
That's true.
2,500 is probably their Sacramento office. So
Story number 2, we have a recent data breach puts millions of US senior citizens' data at risk. What do you guys have to say about this one?
who is this with again? Do you know the company's name?
Senior advisor, so it's
Right.
across the US and Canada.
Okay, stop right there. Take your mouse, go right in the middle, third line. Up, third line. Yep, a little to the right, a little to the right. Yeah.
A lot. We already talked about
Misconfigured S3 bucket.
Figure S3 bucket.
and we don't care why.
And when it's a misconfigured S3 bucket, we take a shot.
No, we don't take a shot. It's okay if you leave your door unlocked.
It's-
Somebody else broke into your house.
It's
Okay?
always,
And
it's
that's-
always a misconfigured S3 bucket.
That's our official position.
But we take a shot.
What's
So Shu, Debbie has a real question. What is a misconfigured S3 bucket?
So S3 is a product by Amazon, is a mass storage cloud service. You basically dump all your files there. They don't charge you by what size your bucket is. They charge you by transport. So a lot of companies use it as a storage, and it's really easy to use, and it's also very easy to misconfigure. I think they have locked this down a little bit, but it's very easy to leave it open for anyone on the internet to access.
If you can find it. you can get
It used to be really easy to leave it open, but they've really locked it down since then. So if there's a misconfigured S3 bucket, it's probably a legacy bucket, something they set up more than a year ago.
Yes, but I mean, it's basically unlimited storage. So people use it for all sorts of things, including database backups. They just move the backup to the S3 bucket. They leave it there. They don't realize it's unsecure, and someone from the internet can just go in and get it. And it sounds like this is what happened in this case, and like in many other cases.
The Hack Notice Legacy Bucket should be our award for the greatest breach of the year. And the legacy bucket goes to.
We
So
should,
it's an honor just to be nominated.
we should get a golden bucket. A golden bucket. And we just put S3
And send
on
it to the company.
Congratulations, you won the Hack Notice Legacy Bucket.
Oh my God.
So we actually pick on S3 and Amazon, but all the major cloud providers, Microsoft
It's not
and
their fault. It's
Google,
not their fault.
yeah, they all have something similar where it's unlimited storage and people use it just to dump files, and it's very easy to misconfigure all of them. And
I'm mostly upset that this is impacting seniors. If you are a company that is built for seniors, you have an extra duty to protect their identity because seniors are some of the most targeted for identity theft and fraud,
And vulnerable.
and they're the most vulnerable. And so we talked about this before, but there needs to be either a consumer bill that protects seniors and all consumers from this type of event, or there needs to be an additional duty of care for companies that are working with seniors.
No, it should be a protected class.
Yeah.
Just like anything
Well,
else.
I would argue what's good for seniors is good for the rest of consumers in America. But this goes back to, this has to be some sort of, there needs to be some sort of additional consumer protection or duty or standards that's pushed federally, because we're just gonna see this time and time again. Ultimately, these seniors now have to worry about Medicare fraud, Medicaid fraud. They have to worry about identity theft. They have to worry about Social Security fraud. They have to worry about whether or not their medical records contain the right information, right? So there's a lot of concern here for a class that is generally less exposed to the internet, but more exposed to the dangers of it.
yeah, I agree. I don't think the article goes into exactly what was stolen, if it was down to Social Security numbers, but we know a lot of personal information was leaked on this, and it was 182 gigabytes. That's a lot of data. That's big data.
Although that only costs 3 cents on S3. So.
It's on S3. Really easy just to dump it there and just leave it there.
I mean, to S3's credit, I'm sure the hacker downloaded that 180 gigabytes super fast. Like, I'm
Super
sure it's well served. So
Yes, yeah. And it only cost the company what, like maybe a quarter.
yeah, I mean, no, but like, it's not the technology, it's the diligence required by any business that's using a technology They need to be able to manage their buckets properly. But of course, it's the attacker's fault. This is actually these days blue herring, which is an unaffiliated hacker stealing data. Can you imagine in this age a hacker stealing this type of data and not being a part of a ransomware group? It's unheard of.
Mhm. Who is this lone wolf who's not yet been scooped up?
Right. I mean, I mean, seriously, the reason we hear about ransomware all the time is because ransomware has eaten all the freelance hackers.
There used to be musicians out there, and now there's just bands.
Yeah, well, there used to be bands and now there's just record labels,
Yeah.
right? So Conti is the Universal Studios of record labels, and they just eat up every lone wolf hacker, and the hacker gets an affiliate program. I mean, they downloaded data, but they very easily, depending on the bucket permissions, could have just ransomed the data.
You know what's really interesting is that you bring up that point, because the next story is somewhat related to that. But between that, I think we have a bourbon break too. So let's get into it. Today we are featuring, and Shu will be doing our tasting test for the Walcott bottled in bond Kentucky straight bourbon. It's a handful.
Say that 10 times.
It's a mouthful.
Yeah.
And we look forward to hearing how the mouthful goes.
Yeah.
Yes, Wolcott bottled and bond.
So
I think we actually in the past have discussed Wolcott. They have a regular not bottled and bond version. But I did see the bottled and bond version at my local Total Wine. I decided to grab it, see what it was like. What the hell, give it a try. The site that you have says it's $45. Even with the ridiculous Washington taxes, I don't think I paid much more over that. So one of the things was,
Total Wine.
what was that?
What?
You were-
Sorry.
But yes,
Shoot,
so
I did some research on this, and the only place I could find Walcott was Total Wine. So I'm wondering if they are their
Yeah.
sole distributor.
there is some sort of special agreement they had with Total Wine, but I don't know if it was just the bottled and bond or the regular Walcott too, if you could find it elsewhere. So
Do you think this is potentially the Trader Joe's brand of bourbon? Like, did Total Wine come up with their own brand called Walcott and they're just sourcing it from Buffalo Trace?
anything is possible, yeah.
It would have.
What's very interesting about this, which may lend some credence to that theory, is that it's very hard to find anything about the distillery that Walcott comes from. We did find that it came from Clear Springs, that it is a Buffalo Trace / Sazerac bourbon. So there's Buffalo Trace, beautiful distillery.
Have
Oh,
you
yeah.
been through this one? I know you're in the Kentucky area.
I have been to Buffalo Trace. Yes, very nice distillery. One of my favorite brands of bourbon is from Buffalo Trace.
It's,
Personal favorite of.
Frankfort, Kentucky, is that hard to get to, or is that fair?
No, that one is very easy to get to. I think it's in Civilization, and it's like right off some major freeway or something like that. Yeah, Buffalo Trace, big fan. Anything from them is good. My favorite one is this Blends, but we won't talk about that.
Oh, is
So
Blanton's Buffalo Trace as well?
what was that?
Blanton's, is that a Buffalo Trace as well?
Yes, it is. Yes. So Walcott, the only thing I was able to find with mash bill is that it is a very heavy rye bourbon. So we'll see. I did find some historical information. I think that I think that distillery itself is a little bit south of there. It's still in Louisville, but not exactly on premises. Is what I figured, or what I discovered. They also used to be owned by Jim Jim Beam, and they were sold to Buffalo Trace years ago. So sounds like they've been around for a while. And sounds like that they have some experience making bourbon. So we'll give this a shot.
Were they sold to Sazerac or were they sold to Buffalo Trace?
I think they were sold to Buffalo Trace. That's
Oh,
what they found. So,
okay.
so when Sazerac took over, strong smell,
Hmm.
yeah, a little bit sweet, a little bit spicy. So we'll see how it goes.
I wish.
Oh man, this is like this is an all around. I like this. Very, very creamy, strong vanilla flavor. It's got initial like half second of flavor that hit was a spiciness. Was that it? This tastes like a rye, but then the sweetness and the heavy vanilla flavor hit. So
Is it a you getting rye spice or alcohol spice? What sort of
I definitely get a rye spice. I would say the predominant flavors are rye and vanilla. It is it's pretty smooth. I think the vanilla flavor kind of adds to that smoothness and kind of coats your mouth and your throat. I don't get a very long burn. It's a very short finish too. So yeah, not too bad. Is it worth the $45 or whatever? Yeah, I would say so. Good job, Wolfpack.
Well, we can't all taste the Wolcott, but we do have Hack Notice's unofficial sponsor, Old Forester 100. When you want a bourbon that tastes like a bourbon but doesn't cost $45, drink Old Forester.
Shoe, extra opinions not needed. I read it. I'm reading your face live.
That's been our bourbon break.
All right, moving on. So let's move to story number 3. For story number 3, we have a rogue hacker actually goes, well, rogue. So step 1, do a Google search, ransomware hacker goes rogue, leaks gang's plan. Someone claiming to work with one of the most notorious ransomware gangs says they're fed up with how extortion money is divvied up and has leaked a host of the gang's files on hacker forums.
You don't fuck people on their commission.
I love this. I love this. This is not a hacker dispute. This is an affiliate program
Right.
disagreement on payment terms.
This is just basic organizational structure. You don't fuck with people's money.
Clearly,
Thank
they
You
should-
sales guy.
yeah, they should have had a commission plan. They should have reviewed it each year. They should have had a sales kickoff at the beginning of this year. Look,
Yeah.
you're a $500 million dark corporation. You need to do what the rest of the dark corporations do. Meet up in Vegas.
Call
you know.
Accenture.
Yeah, yeah. Look, you need to have OKRs and a compensation plan and even accelerators for over
Absolutely.
performance. Like this is
It
based.
seems, yeah. Have a retreat. Have a retreat out in Sundance. Get all the sales team together. Go
Listen,
rah for the year.
for an organization that's scaling, you done fucked up in the most predictable way possible.
Look, if you need advice onto how to make a well-structured sales team, there's plenty of advice out there, Conti. Clearly, you've got the hacking down. You just need to figure out the people side of things.
Y'all were doing so good with the franchising, and just this one step with your sales team just didn't work. So now your secrets are leaked everywhere.
You done blatted up.
Conti.
Oh, Conti.
Yeah, but this is a gold mine for like the FBI and law enforcement. It's pretty
No,
funny.
You know what this is gonna do? This is a gold mine for every baby Conti out there that's trying to be a big boy Conti. They're gonna figure out everything that worked, and then they're gonna put in a commission plan that actually doesn't fuck over the hacker.
But also for the good guys.
Yeah, this will be great for the good guys. But whenever a big ransomware group has all their data leaked, you get a dozen wannabes
alternative theory.
Yes.
Ransomware Batman infiltrated and then blew the system up.
Our ongoing conspiracy continues. There is a ransomware Batman. He is the reason that so many ransomware groups end up having trouble. And he's somehow convinced this person to leak all of Conti's stuff. I mean, honestly, Conti was fairly untouchable until this happened.
Yeah. Till things started to fall apart for them.
I mean, it's the same thing with ReEvil. ReEvil was making lots of great money until Colonial Pipeline, and then they got the heat, and the heat is hard.
Right. Anyway, guys, let's move on to story number 4. And for story number 4, we have cybersecurity giants NortonLifeLock and Avast merged in an $8.1 billion deal. Avast is the British competition for Norton. So what do you guys think about it?
Avast had a very bad story come out within the last few weeks saying that they were actually spying on everyone.
Yeah.
So one, weird timing. 2, you already had Norton. Do you really need like the shittier competitor to Norton?
That's true. You know, I remember several years ago, and it seems like this is the 3rd iteration that I've experienced where you have some antivirus company that everyone uses. They say it's great and it's really effective, and they're really independent, and they kind of toe the line. And then they eventually sell out somewhere along the way, and it moves on.
Well,
I remember we did use Avast at a previous company before. Avast was like the hot thing for a while, and then ran in trouble, and now it's pretty much over.
I mean, Avast got caught for spying. Kaspersky,
It's Kaspersky.
surprise, got caught for being in bed with the Russian government.
What? No way.
Shock, awe, dismay.
Yeah.
I mean, antivirus, anything that installs an agent on your computer is gonna potentially go rogue.
Yeah, trust me, I'm gonna search for all the other agents.
Right.
That's why I'm here. Now I'll just need access to everything.
So Hack Notice is agentless, and that's because we do not trust agents. We don't like agents. Any agent can collect literally everything you do. Given their permissions, they can collect
Keystrokes.
keystrokes, time, using the computer, heat maps of what you did, every website you went to or thought about going to. Like, agents are all powerful, and Avast is highly attractive because it's free, but you have to understand that they have a lot of power there. What we really need, I mean, viruses, malware, they're issues, but we need an agentless solution, and we've never really found a good one.
I agree. As a side note, not related to anything, especially not related to my last employer, for DevOps tools, this is why I use agentless tools like Ansible.
Well, I also don't think that signature mapping is scalable in any way. It just says,
No, so that's blacklisting. Like, we're really big on whitelisting. Like, hey, whitelisting works. You can say what's allowed. Whitelisting is also hard because you end up blocking a lot of reasonable traffic. Blacklisting is always playing a losing game. And so, yeah, it might stop some stuff, but it's not going to stop even known vulnerabilities unless they're super fast on their signatures.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, blacklisting will cost you more in terms of time for administration.
So I have a question. When it comes to people like Norton and Avast, it's like even their agents are getting hacked though, right? Like, Isn't that a possibility that that's happening?
That their agents can be bypassed, and that happens often. Is the funny thing about having a blacklisting software is all the hackers can download the blacklist.
So they know what.
Right.
Right, and so hackers, like, it's an inconvenience to blacklist. It is not stopping a hacker. It's stopping a script kiddie that's trying to run a year-old virus. So to your point, absolutely, the agents can be bypassed, and they are very often. What we need, I mean, whitelisting doesn't work on the whole because everyone's too different in their use of the internet. Honestly, it comes down to the people, right? If you make better decisions about what you download, then you have fewer concerns about installing a virus.
And it's just not scalable. It's like, what would be better, to have better judgment or to just make an enormous list of everything that's malicious? And the list of trying to keep up with the list of what's malicious is, it's not possible, and people become over reliant on it.
No, but actually, to Divya's point too, when you say, if people aren't aware of what agents are, they're basically small little programs that run on multiple computers, especially servers that some master computer controls. And to tie it into what we've talked about the past few months with SolarWinds, if that whole deployment process has already been compromised, you don't have to install the main program here. You can have attacked one of these agents, and it's terrible.
So the message, "Don't trust anyone but me," is inherently muddled.
Well, and to be fair to agents, because they have their place, agents are synonymous with endpoint protection, which is generally good. Typically identity and access management, which is generally good. Data center orchestration, which is generally good. Like, agents have their place, but it is concerning because you're building a tree of authorization. And so agents can do lots of good things, but agents have power typically above what they need in order to do their job.
Yeah, and I will say, given that we're in the industry, think of where Norton would fall on your list of security companies. Now, from a consumer perspective, imagine where Norton would fall, like, on my mom's list of security
Right,
companies,
right.
and it's an amazing mismatch.
Right.
Story number 5. Let's go ahead and get on with it. Poly network hackers have returned more than half of the 600 million in stolen crypto. Here's what investors should know. What do you guys think about it? Because it's only 300 mil that they actually returned.
So
Less than 300 million now.
Oh,
this is a very involved story. It starts off with a developer that's been very active on Twitter. And they found an exploit. And they say, allegedly, that they informed all of the proper authorities about the exploit. And they did nothing.
Responsible disclosure.
Responsible
First step.
disclosure,
It's ruining this industry.
meaning
No.
disclosure, meeting an uncaring project manager, right? And so the hacker basically said, all this can be stolen and you don't seem to care. So I'm going to steal it. But he said he was going to steal it to prevent other hackers from stealing it. So this is where it starts getting off the rails a little bit. He stole 600 million and then he returned half, less than half. Who knows which half, right? Maybe he returned everything other than what was owned by the network admins and all the insiders. But he's still on Twitter defending himself, saying, I told you about this. You refused to listen to me, you refused to patch it, so I stole it for your own good.
And the rest is what, a bug bounty?
Sure,
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
look,
Bug bounty. I'm gonna take this.
That's a hell of a bug bounty.
well, I would contend that there was hack team out of Italia,
Yeah.
where
Why does that matter?
where
It's very important.
where hack team out of Italy, where they were discovering 0 days, and instead of responsible disclosure, they're selling it to nations to spy on their own citizens.
Right.
So a 0 day can be incredibly lucrative.
Yeah.
And you can build an entire business out of it. And I believe Hack Team was hundreds of millions of euros business. So, I mean, it's not unheard of for this level of a prize to happen. Ultimately, who knows what really happened? But the hacker is claiming some sort of self-aggrandizing and self-justificating reason for this.
That was close. It's a
You're close.
You're close. It's a weird story. But yeah, maybe let's imagine that the other half belongs to the network admins. I'm still not necessarily okay with it, but I'm a little bit more okay with it. I mean, I think everybody understands that this is still speculative in the sense that you know and understand the risks of making other kinds of investments. I think crypto still in 2021 self-selects for the more adventurous and the more technologically forward.
This has been an episode of Bourbon and Data Breaches. If you liked what you saw today, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you didn't like what you saw today, argue with those first people in the comment section. If you have a bourbon or a breach that you'd like us to cover, or if you're Old Forester and you'd like to finally sign that agreement that we have for sponsorship, you can contact us at contact@hacknotice.com. Until next time.
Bye.
Dude, believe it
Bye.
or not, I actually just got a lead.
Thanks and gig 'em.
All right.
Can't believe we're actually getting
40
deals because of this.
It's like 40 minutes of B-roll and like 20 minutes. of-
That's about right. Yeah.
Which is like typical. I mean, so
Yep. Is that an inbound lead from
No, that's a different cat.
Oh,
I
okay.
know the guy from Navisec. I don't think Dick Driver's his real name.
Well, I'm hoping it's not with a name